the fourth and final service. This is the uh, it's almost as young as Thundermail. No, actually, it's even younger. Like the code base is not mature at all. What it is Thunderbird's first exploration into AI tooling. Sorry, let me clarify. Optional AI tooling for
Hmm.
Thunderbird. All
Very
right,
nice.
so for uh, for folks who can see this or can imagine this, what I've got on screen are it's basically like, oh, there's this extra little banner that's giving you a summary, right? This summaries reply generation and this thing we're calling the daily brief. These were like some easy to explore options, right? We're just trying to find our way. And yeah, that's Thunderbird Assist in its alpha form is that. It is privacy respecting, optional AI tooling that, can help you with sort through lots and lots of emails. I don't have a lot to show for this because we're we have made the decision to go beyond these like super simple features for something that's going to be a lot more valuable to our users. And in fact, so much so that this will launch after the public beta. We're
Mm.
aiming at semantic search. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it's like in plain language, you can search for like Monica can search for Chris owes me money for those, various things we did, like those restaurants we went to during Scale conference this
Oh,
year.
yes.
Find it. And it'll just go
Fun.
through all the emails and it'll just do it. Um, but yeah, that's going to be delayed a little bit. Not Monica getting paid back for money I owe her, but rather the semantic search feature because there's some technical blockers that we're trying to work around right now, and I can talk about those more later if folks are interested. But one thing I wanted to mention is that for both the alpha version and the future version, your data will again. I love this so much. End-to-end encrypted, so
Mhm.
no creepy AIs farming your data. Um, and we are currently making use of a technical partner's infrastructure, their confidential remote compute. This has been a collaboration with a company called Flower.ai.
Mhm.
Mozilla Foundation is an investor in them. They've been so terrific. They have moved things around their development schedule for us in order to create this collaboration, including implementing end-to-end encryption on their end and rolling out their confidential remote compute early, just so that we can experiment and then roll it out internally because, you know, um, as we say in the South, bless his heart, Ryan was having to like prune his inbox just so he could try out the features because he gets lots of emails that has sensitive like business stuff in it, and he couldn't test assist out without doing that. So they're like, all
Mhm.
right, here we're just going to make this happen, and so that enabled us to do these explorations. Um, but yeah, true semantic search will require running the AI models locally, and so yeah, we're working on some interesting workarounds to take advantage of like the local hardware and make it 100% like 100% private.
That's
That's
awesome.
fantastic.
So I've asked this question, I think, for most of them. What kind of user do you see this being designed for? I'm sure you thought a lot about this as well.
Um,
What's a persona?
yeah. We okay. All right. I'll try to I know my answer was overly long for the last one. I will keep this one super brief. This is for anybody who gets a lot of emails, right? Or anybody who has perhaps many hundreds or thousands of unread emails in their
Mhm.
mailbox. You just need a faster way to sift through and find the most important things, right? Maybe you're um, through semantic search, for example, you could just ask for things that are related to what you've been communicating about recently. Like that's a very interesting use case. And I mean, it's the year 2025. Shouldn't email work like that already? Hmm. So we
Mhm.
want to enable that. Uh, just like I said for send, right? Encryption for your file attachments. I feel like this is for any user dealing with email nowadays. Just even if you're like, even if you're not a business person, maybe you are somebody who, you are interested in lots of things and subscribe to a number of mailing lists. The volume of data somebody has to deal with, it's so big that essentially like a language model that can help parse the information out of your inbox, that's a good tool, and in my opinion, a good application of AI technology.
Nice. And just quickly to follow up, like you said that this was opt-in, right? So
Hmm.
that's important to highlight. Can
Yes.
a user that has lots of emails but doesn't always want to use it, can they like turn it on, use it for a little bit, turn it off,
Yeah,
turn it
totally.
on? Yeah.
That's one of the features that we've already implemented is we can turn it on and off for individual mailboxes. You can turn it on and
Nice.
off like all together. Um, yeah, you've got control.
That's awesome. Very cool.
So, what are the requirements to use it? Say that you're interested in it, and when the comes out, what do you need?
You will just need an account with the Thunderbird services, and then you can. There's a question about how we'll roll it out. I think that basically it'll be uh, you'll see in your like extensions this feature called Assist that you can then enable.
Hmm.
And then you've essentially opted in, and you're like, I don't like it. You just flip it back off.
Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Um,
is there anything that you need to do to like teach it kind of like what emails are important?
So this is right now. Oh my goodness, it's so kludgy right now. I apologize. It's confession time. I uh it is currently implemented as like you tag stuff using the Thunderbird tags. Like there's an important tag and there's a later tag, and you only need to do a few. But
Mm-hmm.
under the hood, we're because we can't run local models yet. Again, that's why it's so kludgy. Uh, it's just using some basic Bayesian classifier that then's like, oh, okay, the user is
Ah.
like, oh, these are things that seem important, and these are things that seem unimportant, and that's how it. Specifically, this is import. This is used with the daily brief, which summarizes like, oh, these are recent emails in your inbox. For individual emails, not so important, and then for semantic search, it will be uh, you know, we'll leverage much smarter algorithms and models to figure out what is and is
Mhm.
not important.
Nice.
very cool. I have been using it since I learned about it. And I wonder if in the future it will be able to automatically log me into my Mozilla account when I restart Thunderbird, because I do a lot of Thunderbird testing and restarting Thunderbird, and every time it's like, you need to log into your Mozilla account. It's like, dang it, but I just did that 5 minutes ago. Why can't it remember?
Yeah. You know what? You and me both, and I did it. I did it to myself and thus you as well. Sorry about that. That is that has to do with the key exchange. The way that
Okay.
we're handling the encryption keys between the client, Thunderbird, and the server. And when I say the server, I just want to mention this for our security and privacy curious users and listeners that the like your emails. Okay, so we're Heather, the way that you're using this right now, perhaps you've wondered like, is this safe for me to use? What about like the community members who are emailing me. And
Hmm.
I assured you, yes, it is, because here's how it works. Yeah, your emails, like the email that you're summarizing or the batch of emails you're sending for the daily brief, those are encrypted client side and then sent to a server that then passes it on to some, like, let's just call it like an AI compute node. Let's just call it that. That's where it gets decrypted, like at the very last moment before the model uses it. And so in this isolated environment, uh, where the model is running, that is the only thing that has the encryption keys and can decrypt. So the way that we set this up, it's extra secure. And so it's almost like you get a fresh set of keys per session, which is every time you start up Thunderbird. So sorry about the re-login because key exchange happens at login.
Well, I think security is famously at odds with convenience,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's fine. That's fine.
It will get better. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry.
Okay.
The joys of being an alpha user.
That's fine.
Yup. Since this is a partnership with AI, how is their modeling different from things that people might be using, like say like Chat GPT?
Yeah, I will talk about this briefly because again, I gotta talk about this for way too long, and
I
you know,
know, I know.
we nobody wants that. So they're a small startup. Um, they're actually a Y Combinator
Oh,
class of
really?
something something. Very cool. Okay, right. To answer your question, the way that it's different is they're running models that they trained for us for our purposes, which is kind of awesome. So they cater to us. They're using open source models that they then fine-tuned. I don't know if that's exactly the right term, but they further trained for email summarization and reply generation. So that's number
Nice.
one. Number two, they again they implemented that end-to-end encryption and the confidential remote compute environment. Specifically, I mean, it was on their roadmap, but they advanced it for us. So
Hmm.
they are so uninterested in farming data. They're like, that's not our business model. Like we're
Yeah.
not doing that. As opposed to some other companies where that's totally up their alley. That's kind of what they're all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so we have access. Okay. So let's talk about the cons. Um, we don't have access to the giant, huge models that can do everything. Um, but on the other hand, we don't want that.
Yeah. We don't
Mm,
need it.
We don't
yeah,
need it.
no.
We're doing specific tasks that are centered around email. Um, One day, I hope that this, expands to like, oh yeah, it should also take into account like your calendar and your tasks and other stuff that's
Mm,
in Thunderbird. But for right now, it's sort of like the right size model for the task. Um, I, yeah, we considered a number of vendors, and yeah, a lot of them just didn't have clear language around privacy. And so
mm.
even after we talked to them, we're like, we don't feel good about their guarantees, so we're not going to partner with them. But Flower was like, no, I mean, like, look at the code. We it does the thing, and we're like, yes, it does the thing. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Nice. Um, that's great. What about, so all of us are native English speakers, but what about people that are not? Does the Assist and Flower AI have the ability to span other locales?
Amazingly, yes. And I tested this just for these office hours. Um,
Nice.
I tried it in, okay, so languages I don't speak. So I actually asked a different, I asked for translations into like German and French and Spanish and Japanese to see what Assist would do. And it gave me summaries for all of those. Only for Spanish did it give me a summary in English. All of the other ones gave me the summaries in the other language, which then I had to give to a different model to double check the
Yeah.
translation. Um, but yeah, the model that Flower chose is multilingual.
That's
Excellent.
awesome.
I
I love
know.
that.
Nice. You mentioned that when we kind of chose flower, and they're like, "Yeah, you can look at our code. You can see if it's going to do the thing that you're asking that it does." Is the TB Assist repo public?
Not yet. It will be. It will be. I'm about to
Good.
migrate it to a public repo. And the only reason was that the Flower code was previously not yet open source. It's now open
Hmm.
source. We were using a
Excellent.
private mirror. Okay, mirror, they copied the code into our code base.
Right. Okay.
Um, so they were like, not yet, but now we can. We've actually moved to their public open source SDK, and so we're good to go. That's coming. I've actually got it. I should have a PR like next Tuesday to get it into our public repo.
Nice.
Nice.
Um, Kind of going back to the models, I know that you said that I can't use my own custom models locally now, but will I be able to eventually? Maybe when it's released?
Yeah, that's the plan. Um, for viewers and listeners who know a little bit about this, maybe they've played around with like Olama or other technologies for running models locally. They've been able to do that because they're just running, some piece of software like Olama um, on their operating system. Whereas the way that we've built it using web technology, which means, okay, so as a Thunderbird extension, it needs access to a GPU to run local models, which means web GPU is the API. But unfortunately, Firefox doesn't fully implement it yet. And Firefox is where we get our JavaScript engine from. So
Gotcha.
we're waiting, but we're
Okay.
also exploring some workarounds. Like, um,
Mm.
how would we? Yeah, I'm not going to get too much into this, but for now, let's just say we're exploring some other ways of running models that um, maybe it'll start off as like a little companion app, and then maybe like for real when we release it, it will be integrated into Thunderbird itself.